Welcome to the deep dive where we, explore something new you're curious about. And today, we're taking a journey into the heart of Taoism, an ancient Chinese philosophy. And it offers like a refreshingly different perspective on navigating life's ups and downs. We've got an excerpt on Taoism ready to go. Believe me, it's packed with like those aha moments. You know the ones I'm talking about. They'll
Yeah.
leave you feeling grounded and inspired.
Definitely.
Yeah. So imagine this. You're a leaf floating down a stream, effortlessly, just carried by the current. No struggle, no resistance, just pure flow.
Hmm.
That's the essence of Taoism, living in harmony with the Tao, the natural way of the universe. But what exactly is this mysterious Tao? I mean, it's a little mysterious.
Well, the fascinating thing is that, it's not something you can like pin down with a definition. It's not a deity or a set of rules,
Right.
but more like a universal principle,
Okay.
an unseen force that kind of guides everything. Think of it like the wind. You can't see it, but you can
Right.
feel its effects.
Okay, so we're talking about a cosmic force, kind of like the wind, invisible but powerful. But how do we actually tap into that? How do we, quote, live in harmony with something we can't even see? It's not like there's a Taoism app that tells us which way to go.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's the beauty of it. The Tao isn't about following a strict roadmap. It's
Right.
about aligning yourself with the natural flow of life.
Huh.
That's where the concept of Wu Wei
Yeah.
comes in, which is effortless action. It's not about being passive, but about acting in a way that's in sync with the Tao.
Ooh, effortless action. I like the sound of that. But doesn't that, I don't know, sound a bit passive? How do you know when to act and when to let go? Where's the line between going with the flow and just letting life happen to you?
It's a great question. And it gets to the heart of, what Wu Wei is all about. Imagine a skilled sailor navigating a choppy sea. They're not passively letting the waves toss them around. They're constantly adjusting their sails, using their knowledge and intuition to work with the wind and the currents.
Mm.
So that's Wu Wei. It's about being responsive, adaptable, and working in harmony with the forces around you, not against them,
Hmm.
finding that sweet spot between effort and ease.
So it's like you're still at the helm, making decisions, but you're not forcing things. You're trusting your instincts and working with the natural flow.
Okay, now that makes sense. Thinking back to the leaf analogy, it's like the leaf is still moving forward, progressing down the stream, even though it's not, actively swimming.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that there's like an underlying intelligence to the universe,
Hmm.
a natural order that we can kind of tap into. And when we align ourselves with that, life becomes less of a struggle and more of a dance.
Okay, I'm starting to get those Zen vibes now. It reminds me of how children just naturally flow with things.
Yeah.
Spontaneous, in the moment, not overthinking everything. Is that connected to this Wu Wei idea?
Absolutely. You know, that spontaneity is a core aspect of Taoism.
It's called Ziran. And it's about living authentically without all the, artificial constraints that we put on ourselves. Think about how a child approaches a new experience. They're curious, open, and fully present. They haven't yet learned to, overthink or second-guess themselves.
It's like they instinctively trust their inner compass, their natural way of being. But let's be real, life isn't always smooth sailing. There are ups and downs, conflicts, moments where we feel like we're paddling upstream. How does Taoism address those inevitable challenges?
Well, that's where the concept of yin and yang comes in. You've probably seen the symbol, those black and white teardrop shapes intertwined.
Yeah.
It represents the duality of existence, how seemingly opposite forces are actually interconnected and interdependent. Think about breathing. You can't have an inhale without an exhale.
Right.
They're two sides of the same coin, both essential for life.
Okay, so like the sun and the moon, day and night, those classic duos. But instead of seeing them as like opposites, Taoism sees them as complementary.
Exactly. The key here is that yin and yang aren't static. They're in constant flux, always interacting and influencing each other.
Okay.
And that interplay is what creates harmony and balance in the universe and, within ourselves.
So it's like a cosmic dance. I can see how this idea could be really helpful in navigating life's challenges. We often get caught up in seeing things as like good or bad, success or failure.
Right.
But Taoism reminds us that these seemingly opposite forces are interconnected and actually essential for growth. What looks like a setback might actually be setting the stage for something new, an opportunity for transformation.
Precisely. Taoism teaches us to kind of embrace the whole spectrum of experience, to see the potential in every situation. When we resist change, when we cling to one side of the duality, we create disharmony and suffering.
So it's about finding that sweet spot, right? Not too much yin, not too much yang, but a dynamic balance between the two.
Exactly. And that balance is reflected in the Taoist principle of simplicity. It's not just about decluttering your house or living minimally. It's about simplifying your inner world as well, like letting go of excessive desires and anxieties that, weigh you down.
Now, that's a challenge I think we can all relate to. Our modern world is full of distractions and pressures, pull us in a million different directions. How do we find that sense of simplicity amidst all the noise?
One way is to look to nature, the ultimate model of simplicity. The seasons change, the sun rises and sets, everything flows in cycles. Nature doesn't strive or force things, it's simply is. And by observing nature, we can learn to let go of our need to control everything and surrender to the natural rhythm of life.
That's so true. When I'm feeling stressed, I always find peace in being out in nature. It's like it reminds me that there's a bigger picture, a greater order at play. Okay. So far, we've got this cosmic dance of yin and yang, the effortless flow of wu wei, and the importance of simplicity. It's all starting to click. But how does this philosophy actually translate to daily life? Do I need to wear robes and live in a mountain cave to be a Taoist?
No, not at all. While some people do choose a monastic life, Taoism is very much integrated into everyday practices. You might be surprised to learn that practices like Tai Chi and Qigong are rooted in Taoist principles.
Tai Chi. I've seen those graceful movements in the park, but I always thought it was just, a form of exercise.
It certainly is a great way to move your body, but it goes much deeper than that. Think of it as cultivating your inner garden. Tai Chi emphasizes slow, flowing movements that enhance vitality and balance Qi,
Okay.
the life force energy that flows through all things.
I've heard of that, but never really understood what it is. It sounds kind of mystical.
It is a bit mystical, but it's also very practical. Qi is the vital energy that animates all living things. It's what allows for growth, movement, and transformation.
Okay.
In Taoism, it's understood that everything in the universe is connected through this flow of Qi, from the tiniest grain of sand to the vast expanse of the cosmos.
So it's like we're all part of this giant interconnected web of energy. That's a pretty mind-blowing concept. And how
Yeah.
does this key energy, how does it play into Tai Chi?
Well, Tai Chi is designed to kind of cultivate and harmonize Qi within the body.
Uh-huh.
The slow, deliberate movements help to unblock stagnant energy and promote a smooth flow throughout the system. It's like giving your internal energy system a tune-up.
So it's not just about physical flexibility, it's about energetic flexibility as well. That makes sense. Now, I know that Taoism isn't the only major philosophy that emerged from ancient China. There's also Confucianism. What are the key differences between the two? They both seem to be about finding harmony, but, in different ways.
You're right. Both philosophies have deeply influenced Chinese culture, but they offer contrasting approaches. Confucianism, with its emphasis on social order, ethics, and duty, it's like a blueprint for harmonious living within society.
Okay.
It's about fulfilling your roles and responsibilities within the family, the community, and the state. Taoism, on the other hand, is more focused on, individual harmony with nature and spontaneity. It's less about following rules and more about aligning with the natural flow of the Tao.
So it seems like Confucianism is more outwardly focused on how we relate to others and our place in society, while Taoism is more inwardly focused on cultivating inner peace and harmony with nature. Is that a fair assessment?
And that's a great way to put it. Of course, these are generalizations. And both philosophies have, nuances and complexities.
Sure.
But at their core, they offer different paths towards living a meaningful and fulfilling life.
It's fascinating how two philosophies born in the same cultural context can offer such distinct perspectives. So we've covered the Tao, Wu Wei, Yin Yang, and even touched upon Qi and Tai Chi. That's a lot to unpack. But it all seems to point to this idea of finding balance, embracing simplicity, and aligning with the natural rhythm of life.
Exactly. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more to explore in the world of Taoism.
Right.
But for now, let's take a break and let all this information sink in.
Great idea. We've given you a lot to ponder, but trust us, it's worth it. Join us in part 2 as we delve even deeper into the wisdom of Taoism. See you there.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive.
I'm still feeling, energized from our exploration of Taoism in part 1. We covered a lot of ground. From the mysterious Tao itself to the balancing act of yin and yang.
Yes, and we delved into the concept of Wu Wei, effortless action, and how it's not about passivity, but about aligning ourselves with the natural flow of life. We even touched on Qi, that vital energy that connects everything in the universe.
One thing that really resonated with me was the emphasis on nature in Taoism. It's like nature itself is a living embodiment of the Tao. constantly demonstrating its principles in action.
Absolutely. For Taoists, nature isn't just a pretty backdrop.
Right.
It's a source of profound wisdom and guidance. By observing the cycles of nature, the changing seasons, the ebb and flow of the tides, we can gain insights into the Tao and learn how to live in greater harmony with it.
I love that perspective. It's like nature is like a wise teacher, always offering us lessons if we're willing to pay attention. I'm thinking about how a tree effortlessly grows towards the sunlight, or how water adapts to its surroundings, flowing around obstacles. It's such a beautiful reminder to embrace change and go with the flow instead of resisting it.
You've hit the nail on the head. Those are perfect examples of Wu Wei in action. Nature doesn't force things.
Right.
It simply is.
Yeah.
And yet, everything gets accomplished in its own time.
That's so true. It makes me realize how often we humans try to impose our will on the world, to control and manipulate things to fit our desires. No wonder we end up feeling stressed and frustrated.
That's a very insightful observation. Taoism teaches us that true harmony comes not from trying to control everything, but from surrendering to the natural order of things. It's not about being passive or giving up, but about aligning ourselves with the forces that are already at play and working in concert with them.
It's about working with the current, not against it. But how do we know when to act and when to surrender? I'm trying to wrap my head around that balance.
That's the art of Taoism, finding that sweet spot between action and non-action. It's about discerning when to exert effort and when to let go. It's not always easy, but with practice, we can cultivate that inner wisdom.
It's like learning to dance with life, right? Sometimes you lead, sometimes you follow.
Exactly. And just as a skilled dancer moves with grace and fluidity, so too can we learn to navigate life with a sense of ease and effortlessness by aligning with the Tao. It's about trusting that the universe has a plan, even if we can't see it.
I'm curious about the spiritual dimension of Taoism. We've talked about the philosophy, the practical applications, but is there a spiritual aspect to it as well?
Yes, absolutely. While Taoism isn't a religion in the traditional sense, it does have a spiritual side that emphasizes cultivating inner peace, harmony, and a sense of connection to something larger than oneself.
So it's not about worshiping deities or following strict doctrines.
Not exactly. Taoism is more about cultivating a direct experience of the Tao through meditation, contemplation, and living in accordance with its principles. It's about connecting with that universal energy that flows through all things.
It sounds like a very personal and individualized approach to spirituality, sort of like creating your own path.
Exactly. It's about finding your own unique way to connect with the Tao. And that path can look different for everyone. Some people find that connection through spending time in nature, others through meditation or practicing Tai Chi.
That's really appealing to me, the idea that spirituality is about forging your own connection with the universe, not about following someone else's rules or dogma. In part one, we briefly touched on qi and its use in traditional Chinese medicine. Can you tell us more about how Taoist principles are applied in healing practices?
Absolutely. Traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM, is deeply rooted in Taoist philosophy, particularly the concepts of yin and yang and the flow of qi. In TCM, health is seen as a state of balance and harmony within the body, while illness is viewed as a disruption of that balance.
So it's not just about treating symptoms, but about addressing the root cause of the imbalance, kind of like weeding a garden to get rid of pests.
That's a great analogy. TCM takes a holistic approach, considering the interconnectedness of the body, mind, and spirit. Acupuncture, for instance, is believed to work by stimulating specific points along energy pathways in the body to restore the flow of qi and rebalance yin and yang. Herbal medicine also works on this principle, using different herbs with various properties to address specific imbalances.
It's fascinating how these ancient practices are being integrated more and more with modern medicine these days. People are really seeking out alternative approaches to healing that address the whole person, not just the physical symptoms.
Yes, and I think that speaks to a growing awareness that well-being encompasses more than just the absence of disease. It's about cultivating a state of harmony and balance in all aspects of our lives: physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual.
That makes so much sense. Taoism seems to offer a comprehensive framework for achieving that kind of holistic well-being. It's more than just a philosophy, it's a way of life.
I couldn't agree more. It's a way of life that emphasizes simplicity, balance, harmony, and connection. Values that are just as relevant today as they were thousands of years ago.
You know, we talked about how Confucianism emphasizes social harmony, while Taoism is more about individual harmony. But is there a way to integrate those two philosophies? Can they work together?
That's an interesting question. It's true that they offer seemingly different perspectives, but they're not necessarily mutually exclusive. In fact, many people throughout Chinese history have found ways to integrate both Confucian and Taoist principles into their lives.
So it's not an either situation. It's more about finding a balance that works for you.
Exactly. You could think of it like this. Confucianism provides a framework for ethical conduct and social responsibility, while Taoism offers a way to cultivate inner peace and align with the natural flow of life. They can complement each other beautifully.
That's a great way to put it. It's like having both a map and a compass. The map shows you the terrain, the rules of the road, while the compass helps you find your own true north, your own path.
I love that analogy. It really captures the essence of how these two philosophies can work together. Ultimately, it's about finding what resonates with you, what helps you live a more meaningful and fulfilling life.
I'm really enjoying this deep dive into Taoism. It's challenging some of my assumptions and opening up new ways of seeing the world. But I have to admit, some of these concepts, like the Tao itself, can feel a bit abstract and elusive. How do we grasp something that's, beyond definition?
That's the paradox of Taoism. It's about embracing the mystery, the unknown. The Tao is something you experience rather than intellectualize. It's like trying to explain the taste of chocolate to someone who's never tried it. Words can only go so far.
That's a great point. So how do we move beyond the words and actually experience the Tao?
One way is through direct observation of nature. Notice the effortless flow of a river, the changing seasons, the intricate patterns of a spider's web. These are all expressions of the Tao in action.
It's like nature is speaking to us in a language we can understand, a language that goes beyond words.
Exactly. Another way to experience the Tao is through practices like meditation or Tai Chi. These practices help to quiet the mind and allow us to tap into a deeper level of awareness, a sense of connection to something larger than ourselves.
It's about tuning into that inner stillness, that place where we can connect with the universal energy that flows through all things. Okay, I'm ready to dive even deeper. What else can you tell us about the Tao and its mysteries?
Well, there's a lot more to explore, but for now, let's take another break and give you some time to reflect on what we've discussed so far. Join us in part 3, where we'll continue our journey into the heart of Taoism.
Welcome back to the deep dive. I'm telling you, my mind is officially blown wide open.
It's been a fascinating journey. We've explored those core principles of Taoism, from the elusive Tao itself to the interplay of yin and yang, the power of Wu Wei and the flow of Qi. We've even touched on how these concepts are woven into practices like Tai Chi and traditional Chinese medicine.
It strikes me, Taoism is so ancient, but it's still so relevant to our lives today. It's like it offers this, timeless wisdom, and that can help us navigate, well, the complexities of the 21st century.
That is one of the things that makes Taoism so compelling. It speaks to, something universal within us, a longing for balance, harmony, and connection in a world that often feels pretty chaotic and fragmented.
In part 2, we talked about the spiritual dimension of Taoism, and it's not about, those rigid doctrines or worshiping deities, but it's about cultivating a direct experience of the Tao. It's about, forging your own unique path to connect with that universal energy.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that the Tao is not something outside of us, but something that flows through us and connects us all. It's about tapping into that inner wisdom
Yeah.
and allowing it to guide our lives.
We talk a lot about Wu Wei, effortless action, how it's about aligning ourselves with the natural flow of life. But I'm still thinking about, how do I apply that in practical situations? How do we distinguish between going with the flow and being passive? When's it appropriate to act, and when is it better to just let go?
That's a question that's, puzzled Taoist philosophers for centuries. There's no easy answer. It often comes down to intuition and discernment. One way to think about it is to ask yourself, is this action aligned with the Tao? Is it in harmony with the natural order of things? If it feels forced or resistant, well, maybe it's a sign to step back and reassess.
So it's about paying attention to our inner compass, that intuitive sense of what feels, right and aligned.
Precisely. And sometimes the most effortless action is actually non-action. It's about recognizing when to surrender, to let go of our need to control and allow things to unfold naturally.
So I'm understanding that Wu Wei is not about being lazy or passive, but acting with intention and grace in harmony with the Tao.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot where effortlessness and effectiveness meet. Think about a skilled martial artist. Their movements are fluid, precise, and seemingly effortless, yet they're able to overcome even the strongest opponent. That's the power of Wu Wei.
It's amazing how Taoism challenges those Western notions of striving and achievement. We're so conditioned to think that we have to push and force things to get results. But Taoism says maybe the most effective way to achieve our goals is to let go and allow things to unfold in their own time.
That's a profound insight, and it's something that can be applied to all areas of our lives, from work to relationships to our own personal growth. When we surrender to the Tao, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities that we might never have imagined.
One of the things I find most intriguing about Taoism is that, well, it's paradoxical in nature. It embraces contradictions and encourages us to see beyond dualistic thinking.
That's a great observation. Taoism recognizes that reality is not black and white, but a tapestry of interconnected and interdependent forces. Take the concept of yin and yang. We often see these as opposites. But Taoism teaches that they are two sides of the same coin, inseparable and complementary.
It's like the saying, what goes up must come down.
Exactly. And that balance is essential for harmony in the universe and within ourselves. When we cling to one side of the duality, good or bad, success or failure, we create disharmony and suffering.
It's like trying to hold on to one end of a seesaw. It just doesn't work.
You're getting it. Taoism invites us to embrace the whole spectrum of experience, to see the potential in every situation, and recognize that even what appears to be negative or challenging can ultimately lead to growth and transformation.
I love that. It's a reminder that life is a journey, not a destination. And those ups and downs, well, they're all part of the process.
Exactly. And that brings us to the concept of death, something that many people, they fear. But Taoism, it offers a different perspective.
I'm curious, how does Taoism view death?
Taoism sees death not as an end, but as a natural part of the cycle of life. Just as there are seasons of growth and decay in nature, so too are there cycles of birth, death, and rebirth in the universe.
So it's not something to be feared, but something to be accepted as, I don't know, part of the natural order of things?
Precisely. Death is simply a transition, a transformation from one form to another. And just as the Tao is constantly transforming, so too are we. Our physical bodies may die, but our essence, our spirit continues on.
That's a comforting thought. It takes some of the, I don't know, sting out of death, knowing that it's not the end, but a new beginning.
Exactly. And that understanding can be incredibly liberating. It frees us from clinging to the past or fearing the future, allowing us to fully embrace the present moment.
So we've covered so much in our deep dive into Taoism. We've explored the core principles, the practical applications, the spiritual dimensions. I feel like we've only just, I don't know, scratched the surface.
There's always more to discover. Taoism is a vast and profound tradition with a rich history, philosophy, and practice. And like the Tao itself, it's constantly evolving and unfolding, offering new insights and perspectives to those who seek them.
If someone wanted to learn more about Taoism, where would you suggest they start?
I would recommend starting with the Tao Te Ching, the foundational text of Taoism attributed to Lao Tzu. It's a collection of short, poetic verses that offer profound insights into the nature of the Tao and how to live in harmony with it. There are many translations and interpretations available, so find one that speaks to you. Another classic Taoist text is the Zhuangzi, which offers a more, I guess you could say, whimsical and humorous perspective on Taoist philosophy.
It sounds like there's a whole world of wisdom waiting to be explored. Well, dear listeners, this brings us to the end of our deep dive into Taoism. We hope you enjoyed this journey.
Remember the path of Taoism. It's a lifelong journey of discovery and transformation. So stay curious, stay open, and keep embracing the flow of the Tao.
As the Tao Te Ching reminds us, nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. So be patient with yourself, trust the process, and allow the wisdom of Taoism to guide you on your path. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.